Okay, hello, Morgan here. So I wanted to talk about some of the foods that are going to go the quickest. Now, I think over the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of ebbs and flows with what is in stock and what is out of stock, depending on people. Depending on people, yeah, but also depending on what's happening in the world. So they're blaming the war in Ukraine, for wheat crisis. They're blaming Russia for gas, all these things. And these do make people kind of panic buy a little bit. But it's not just that, it's also crops are having a really hard time, through flooding or extreme heat, or pests have even been taking out a lot of crops lately. Just a lot is kind of going on with people, nature, all these kinds of things. So things may not always be around in high super stock. They may be kind of around, but maybe not. But I wanted to talk about some of the foods that are probably going to be going fastest that we've actually seen in history a little bit. Just in history, just over the past couple of years, right? So water is actually the very first one, because even now I don't see the shelves stocked as much as water. And there was a time in which I couldn't find any water. It was just last year, actually, in 2021. We went to the store and there was no bottled water. So that was a real harsh reality to us. Now, other stores may have had it, maybe I could have gotten it online, from somewhere else. But I'm just saying, if some stores are finding it difficult to keep it in stock, it's a sign, So water is definitely one that we really want to try to stock up as much as we can. I know that it's very heavy and it's bulky, but try to find it, the storage as much as you can. You can store water in warm places, I promise, but just rotate it more often. Rotate it once a year, once every 2 years or something like that. Keep it out of direct sunlight, but it can be in a dark shed covered with a blanket or something like that, and it will be fine. Okay, so canned goods, we saw during COVID that canned goods were flying off the shelf, right? I mean, we saw it. So I think that canned goods are always going to be a commodity, no matter where you are. They last a long time. They're easy to store. It's great sources of nutrition, that kind of thing. So canned goods are something we definitely want to stock up on, continue to stock up on rather. Yeast is something that I saw was out, and yeast and baking items in general, flour, sugar. Actually, it was mainly just flour and sugar. Flour, sugar, and yeast were the three main things that were out. In fact, recently, it's still been kind of, not fantastic, but, flour, sugar, and yeast has really made a comeback, but flour and sugar, I've still seen a little bit out of stock here and there. So, especially with the wheat crisis. So we want to make sure that we're trying to get flour, also wheat berries. Wheat berries were really difficult to get at the beginning of this year, and they're actually just even now they're starting to kind of come back, but it's still very difficult to get, so try to get as many wheat berries and a grinder, know how to grind it all, and then all that. So yeah, all baking products, I would really, stock up on that. Oil, I did see a decrease in some oils. Olive oil and vegetable oil, I saw a decrease of. So definitely try to stock up on oils. You can throw those in the freezer and they'll last a lot longer, but on the shelf they could last 2-3 years and be fine. But oils do have an expiration date. But yeah, so the next one I think would be coffee. I did see coffee. Coffee I haven't seen an extreme shortage of, but I've definitely seen a raise in price. But another one's going to be dairy products, and more specifically like eggs, milk, and powdered milk. During COVID and even after and into 2022, so between 2020 and 2022, I've definitely seen some struggle in powdered milk, and powdered milk has increased in price significantly. I think I used to be able to get the 4-pound bag from Walmart for $10 and now it's $20. I think it rose from $10 to $15. I remember $15. And then right now in 2022, it's $20. It's 19, whatever, but it's $20. And so I buy that maybe once a month or something, but I do stockpile powdered milk for sure. But yeah, so I stockpile those things a lot. Okay, so the next one's going to be pasta. Pasta, we saw a crisis with pasta recently, didn't we? Now I'm starting to see it come back, into stock, which is really nice for everybody, so now we can try to stock up a little bit, a little at a time again. But yeah, so the last one I want to talk about is oats. Oats had a little bit of a crisis there for a minute. I think it's starting to come back a little bit, but I think it raised in price a tiny bit, but they're still pretty affordable. But regardless, oats have definitely gone through a little bit of a crisis. And so, those will definitely go fast. I saw cereals go fast too. Like there were like no cereals on the shelf at one point. That was pretty wild. Maybe it was just the area I was in, but like I remember going down the cereal aisle and being like, oh my gosh, there's no cereal. But this is just specifically foods. Of course, we saw things like toilet paper, paper towels, paper products, that kind of thing. But I'm going to do a whole nother video on paper products. But yeah, as far as foods, meats, of course, I want to talk about meats. If you have a freezer and you have like a generator, solar generator, whatever, stock up on meats as well. Meats are very expensive right now, fresh meats. But if you can stock up on frozen meats, even fresh meats, and then freeze them, throw them in the freezer, and have them around, that's really good. If you can buy half a cow or a full cow and fill up your freezers, that's fantastic too. Buy the canned meats, any meats, freeze-dried meats, all these meats are going to be highly valuable. They already are really valuable, because we've seen shortages. We've heard of the cattles that are, that drop dead from the heat, all these things. So we are seeing a little bit of a meat crisis, I think. I think the start of it. So we definitely want to stock up on it. During COVID, ramen was one of the first things to go. Why? It's cheap. It'll last forever, right? Ramen is one of the first things to go. Stock up on that ramen. Peanut butter, I actually did see a little bit short, and Jif had that recall, and I haven't seen Jif on the shelves since, but our local, Walmart and our local grocery stores have had their off-brand, so we've been buying that a little bit, but we've always tried to keep stock of that. I know Costco has their off-brands as well. You can learn to make your own peanut butter, all this stuff. So learn to can, learn to grow, learn to, do all this stuff. Fruits and vegetables have seen, I've seen a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, but the frozen fruits and vegetables have definitely been not as in stock as great. People tend to buy the frozen fruits and vegetables first before they buy the fresh. I always saw a ton of fresh foods available, but the frozen stuff was always out of stock. Or not out of stock, but it was always low stock. So frozen foods in general, I think are really good to have around, just because you can keep it in your freezer. You can keep your freezer, charged or powered with a generator or solar generator or something like that. So I think it's really good to try to keep those freezers stocked. All right, those are my ideas. Thank you all so much for watching. Conquer Tomorrow by Preparing Today, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.